Dr. Sailrix stood tall in the shining white room of the Galactic Medical Research Center. His skin was silver blue and his four eyes blinked slowly as he stared at the data screen in front of him. Behind him, many alien doctors watched, whispering and giggling. On the medical table lay a human, Captain Jalen Reed. He looked tired, covered in small scars and bandages. He had just survived a plasma blast during a border conflict with raider ships. Most species would have melted. But the human? Still alive, still breathing. Primitive creature, Dr. Sailrix said, smiling coldly. Look at this biology. Their blood is full of trash. Their organs are outdated. How do these beings even survive gravity? The alien nurses laughed. One of them covered her mouth, trying not to burst into loud laughter. Jalen blinked. You know I can hear you, right? Dr. Sailrix ignored him and continued scanning his body. Yes, their hearing is basic, their bones so weak, their hearts so small, and still they act like warriors. He waved his hand in the air as if brushing away dust. Jalen smirked. You'd be surprised what we can do when pushed. Dr. Sailrix rolled his eyes and turned back to the scanner. Let's see what your blood says, little Earthman. He pressed a few buttons, and the machine beeped. A small glass vial moved into the analyzer. The alien doctor turned to the others. This won't take long. Just a few seconds to confirm that human biology is as useless as ever. He folded his arms and waited. Beep. Then another beep. Suddenly, the machine stopped. The screen blinked red. Dr. Sailrix frowned. That's strange. He walked closer. The screen flashed. Warning. Unknown mutation detected. Retest recommended. The room fell silent. One of the nurses asked, Doctor, is the machine broken? No, he said slowly. It's not broken, it's confused. He tapped the screen. Retesting sample. The machine started again. The test ran longer this time, too long. The air grew tense. Finally, it beeped again. Same result. Jalen sat up slightly. Hey, Doc, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. Dr. Sailrix didn't answer. He leaned closer to the screen, his long fingers shaking just a little. Genetic pattern, unknown. Override gene activity detected. Quarantine suggested. Jalen's smile faded. Wait, did you say quarantine? Sailrix stepped back. This shouldn't be possible. Another doctor walked in. What's the delay? Sailrix pointed at the screen. This human's DNA. It doesn't match any known human structure. There's something new inside him. New? The other alien asked. Yes. His body holds a gene we've never seen before, not even in classified records. It's not from Earth. It's something else. Jalen frowned. So, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sailrix didn't answer. He was deep in thought. His mind raced. No human had ever shown this kind of mutation before. He had scanned over 1,000 human patients in his life. None of them had this. He checked the results again. The gene in Jalen's body wasn't just new. It was active. It was doing something. Something strange. It's like his body is adapting, he whispered. The assistant doctor looked worried. Doctor, should we alert the council? Sailrix nodded slowly. Yes, but quietly. I want more tests. No one touches this human without my permission. Jalen raised his eyebrow. Hello? Still here? Still hearing you. Sailrix turned toward him. You may be more than you appear, Captain Reed. Your biology may be evolving. Jalen chuckled. That's what I've been trying to tell people for years. We humans are tough. The alien doctor didn't laugh this time. His smile was gone. All that remained was fear. He stared at the blinking screen, still red, still warning. He spoke quietly, more to himself than anyone else. What are you, human? The lights in Lab 7 flickered as a strange tension filled the air. Dr. Sailrix hadn't slept in 30 hours. He sat alone in the dark, staring at the floating screen in front of him. The human's blood test results still glowed bright red, blinking every 10 seconds like a heartbeat. Unknown mutation detected. Override activity level rising. The alien doctor rubbed his temples. In all his years studying thousands of species, nothing had prepared him for this. The human, Captain Jalen Reed, was supposed to be a simple case, a wounded soldier with minor burns. But something inside the human's DNA wasn't simple at all. It was growing. Suddenly, the lab door slid open. It was Nurse Thela, holding a report tablet. Her voice was soft. "Doctor, the patient is asking questions. He wants to know why he's still locked inside the exam room." Sailrix didn't look up. "Did he show any symptoms?" She hesitated. "That's the thing. He's healing, sir. Too fast." Sailrix finally stood, his long coat dragging behind him. "Come, we're going to speak to the human." Inside the medical room, Jalen was sitting on the edge of the bed, one hand behind his head. "You know, in human hospitals, they at least give you a TV or something," he joked. Sailrix stepped in, voice serious. "Captain Reed, you're not going anywhere." Jalen raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. Still, shocked by how beautiful my DNA is." The alien doctor didn't laugh. Instead, he held up a hologram showing a detailed spiral structure. The gene was glowing blue, but then parts of it began shifting, like it was alive. "This gene shouldn't exist," Sailrix said. "It's not part of normal human biology. It's doing things we don't understand." Jalen's smile faded. "Doing what exactly?" "It's rewriting your body," Sailrix said quietly. "Faster healing, stronger cells, neural growth. You're changing, Captain. Evolving." Jalen looked down at his hands. They looked the same, but deep inside he felt something. A heat, a pull, like electricity moving just beneath his skin. "I don't feel sick," he said. "That's the strange part," Thela whispered. "You're not sick. You're getting better." Later that night, when all lights were dimmed, the alien staff reviewed past records from old human files. Nothing matched, but then one file appeared, a red-locked archive from 142 Earth cycles ago. Project origin, status, failed. Subject, terminated. It was about an experiment where alien scientists tried to plant ancient alien genes into early human tribes, primitive people living in Earth's forests. Most subjects died, but one bloodline survived. Sailrix stared at the old data, his hands cold. What if Captain Reed is a descendant, and the gene just woke up? Meanwhile, in his room, Jalen couldn't sleep. He heard noises, soft, high-pitched tones, like someone whispering from behind the walls. He looked around, but no one was there. His heartbeat was steady. His eyes blinked once, then again. Everything slowed. He could see the blinking monitor on the wall slow down. He could hear a nurse outside and breathing. He could feel someone thinking in the next room. Jalen gripped the edge of the bed. What the hell is happening to me? Then, without warning, the monitor beeped louder. Neural activity spike. Alert. Security lights turned on. The door locked shut. Back in the control room, Dr. Sailrix was watching. It's beginning. What is? Thela asked, trembling. He's connecting to the ship, Sailrix said, without touching anything. His brain waves are syncing with the systems. Is he dangerous? Sailrix didn't answer. Instead, he turned and whispered something no one expected from him. He's not a patient anymore. He's something we don't understand, maybe a miracle or maybe a mistake. Cliffhanger. End of part 2. Back in Jalen's room, the lights suddenly shut down. His eyes opened, and they glowed faint blue. And in a language he had never learned, he whispered to himself, Project Origin. Activated. The stars outside. The ship moved in silence. But inside the medical wing of Orbital Station Virella, things were anything but quiet. The guards had doubled. Medical officers now carried stun rifles. And in the center of it all, one man sat calmly behind a force field barrier, Captain Jalen Reed. He looked human. He acted human. But now, no one was sure what he really was. Dr. Salrix stood in the dark observation room, arms behind his HFY back, staring at the man who had become the station's biggest mystery and its biggest threat. "He's still calm?" asked the voice behind him. "Yes," Salrix replied. "Too calm. He should be confused, angry, frightened. But he's just waiting." A hollow screen floated beside him, showing Jalen's brain activity. It was off the charts, waves of neural energy surged through the data streams. His mind wasn't just thinking, it was interacting with the walls, with the lights, maybe even with the ship itself. "Why haven't we reported him to the Central Council?" the assistant doctor asked. "Because if we do," Salrix whispered, "they'll come here with weapons, not questions." Inside the holding room, Jalen leaned against the cold metal wall. He'd given up asking questions. No one told him anything anymore. But something deep inside him had changed. Every second he could feel the energy in the air. He didn't know how to explain it. He could hear whispers through metal. He could sense movement before it happened. And his memories. They were getting clearer. Too clear. He remembered the battlefield where he was wounded. But now he also remembered exactly how the plasma had moved, how it curved, how he had twisted his body at just the right moment, like he knew the attack was coming before it happened. That wasn't normal. Back in the lab, a secret meeting was happening. Salrix had gathered 2 trusted alien scientists. Both were from different species, one insectoid, one amphibious, but both were brilliant minds. He showed them the full data on Jalen's DNA. One of them gasped. This sequence is not just alien, it's designed." "You mean artificial?" the other asked. "No, I mean intelligent design. This isn't evolution. This was inserted on purpose." Salrix nodded. "I believe someone in the past, maybe our ancestors, gave humans this mutation, but it stayed dormant, hidden, waiting." The amphibious doctor looked up. "Waiting for what?" Salrix sighed. "A trigger, trauma, energy, a near-death moment. Something woke it up in Jalen Reed." Later that night, Jalen was taken to a test chamber. Not for surgery. This time they wanted to talk. Salrix entered alone. "Captain," he began, "do you feel anything strange lately?" Jalen smiled. "Yeah, I feel like I'm in a zoo." Salrix stepped closer. "This isn't a joke. Your body is changing. You're not like the other humans we've tested before." "Then maybe your tests are broken." "No. We retested 34 times. Every result is the same. You are beyond human now." Jalen didn't speak. Salrix took a deep breath. "We don't know what this mutation can do, but if it keeps growing, you may become something this galaxy has never seen before. Is that why you're scared of me?" "No," Salrix said. "We're scared because we don't know if you'll stay human or become something else." Suddenly, alarms began to flash. Unauthorized system access detected. Salrix looked at his wrist console. "What's happening?" A voice from the control room shouted. "The ship's database. Someone is accessing restricted files." "Who?" Salrix asked. The tech answered, breathless. "It's coming from inside the test chamber." They rushed in. Jalen hadn't moved. His eyes were closed, but the screens around him were glowing, flipping through data at impossible speed. He wasn't touching anything, yet the systems obeyed him. Then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. And everything went dark. Only one voice echoed in the silence, Jalen's. "You kept secrets from my kind, but your machines still remember the truth." Salrix froze. "How do you know that?" Jalen opened his eyes. "I don't. But something inside me does." Cliffhanger. End of part 3. The backup power turned on. The monitors displayed a new file unlocked for the first time in 500 years. Project Origin, Phase 2, Initializing. Jalen looked up slowly. "Looks like I'm not the problem," he said. "I'm the answer you forgot." The room was filled with silence, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that felt heavy, like the galaxy itself was holding its breath. On the screen, the ancient file glowed softly. Project Origin. Phase 2. Initializing. Dr. Selrick stood frozen. His assistants stared at the floating data, their mouths slightly open. Even the lights seemed to dim, as if the station itself feared what was coming next. 5 decks below, in the secure data vault of Station Varela, something stirred. A vault that hadn't been opened in 500 Earth years, without a key, without a password, just a genetic code. And now, the vault was unlocking, for a human. Back in the control room, Selrick whispered, "How did he trigger the second phase? That data was sealed before his species even left their caves." One assistant trembled. "Doctor, do you think he's the original host?" "No," Selrick said, eyes narrowing. "He's something worse. He's a descendant, a surviving spark from the original experiment." Jalen sat quietly in the test chamber, unaware of the chaos his DNA had just caused. His mind felt strange, like doors were opening inside his head, doors he didn't know were there. He saw flashes, not memories but echoes, alien symbols, burning skies, creatures made of light, a voice whispering in a language he never learned but somehow understood. "You are the legacy. You are the bridge." He blinked, gasping for air. His heart was racing. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. At the same time, Selrick and his team scrolled through the newly unlocked file. Project Origin, log entry 001, species 112, designated human, primitive, emotional, resilient. We have inserted the catalyst gene. Results are unstable, may require generations of dormancy. If awakened, subject will gain neural control, cellular healing, and high adaptability. This could be our last weapon against extinction. Selrick leaned back in shock. "They didn't create humans as an experiment," he muttered. "They used humans as a backup plan." Further into the logs, more details emerged. The original creators were not conquerors. They were survivors of a dying empire. Their worlds had fallen to an unknown force. In desperation, they planted a special gene into Earth's earliest humans, hoping one day their legacy would return. But the plan failed. The catalyst gene vanished from record. All subjects died, or so they thought. Until now. Jalen stood in the middle of the chamber. Without realizing it, he raised his hand. The air shimmered, and just like that, the lights around him responded, bending, dimming, flickering to his heartbeat. The metal walls pulsed faintly with light, and the ship's AI spoke in a strange voice. Command confirmed. Origin status detected. Awaiting instruction. Security officers arrived. They aimed their weapons, eyes full of fear. "Do not move," one shouted. Jalen didn't flinch, the guns jammed, all of them. The soldiers looked down at their weapons, dead, silent. No one had touched them. Jalen lowered his hand. He looked just as surprised. "I didn't do anything," he said softly. But inside, he wasn't sure that was true anymore. Back in the observation room, a final log appeared. Project Origin. Last entry. If the subject survives and awakens, treat with care. Do not attack. It is not just a weapon. It is hope. Selrick turned to the council broadcast screen and opened a private channel. "This is Dr. Selrick. Emergency code 9X. Prepare for contact with a living relic of our own past." The alien on the other end looked confused. "What are you talking about?" Selrick's face turned pale. "I'm talking about the one thing our ancestors feared, and hoped for at the same time. A human who remembers us even if he doesn't know why." Cliffhanger. End of part 4. Deep inside the vault, a signal shot out across space, a signal not heard in thousands of years, In a cold, forgotten galaxy far away, an old machine blinked to life. Origin signal detected. Earth descendant active. Prepare Protocol Omega. Jalen's quiet voice echoed in the chamber. I think something ancient just woke up because of me. The station clock ticked past 0400 hours. Outside the observation glass, stars drifted across the void like slow-burning embers. But inside holding Chamber 9, time had stopped. Or at least it felt like it. Captain Jalen Reed was no longer asleep. He was changing. His breathing was calm, but his skin glowed faint blue, pulsing gently with each heartbeat. Around him the air had thickened. Objects nearby, metal tools, data pads, even loose screws, floated quietly around him like he was the center of a small gravity field. The cameras inside the room began to freeze, one by one. Every sensor failed to record what they were seeing. Doctor, Salric stood in the control room with 4 alien scientists and 2 nervous guards. No one dared to blink. This is no longer science, the insectoid biologist whispered. This is rebirth. Inside the chamber, Jalen opened his eyes, and, for the first time, he heard everything, not with his ears, with his mind. He heard whispers from deep below the ship, the thoughts of engineers, the silent hum of reactor energy. He even felt the vibrations of a dying star 2 systems away, and through it all, he felt a voice, a presence, old, gentle, powerful. You are ready, he gasped and fell to his knees, shaking, not from pain but from the flood of understanding. I know things, I never studied them, but I just know. He looked at his hand. He could name every cell, every function, every purpose. He looked at the walls. He understood their alloy structure, their weakness, their design flaws. The knowledge had no language. It just existed inside him. Meanwhile, on another deck, a child screamed in the infirmary. A young alien girl had been injured in a lab accident. Her skin was burned. Her breath was shallow. The doctors tried everything, but nothing worked. Suddenly, all the lights in the infirmary flickered, then turned blue. The child's wounds began to close on their own. The machines beeped in shock. Unknown healing energy detected. Source: external. Back in the command chamber, Selric stared at the monitors. He's not just changing himself, he whispered. He's changing the space around him. Inside the holding cell, Jalen stood now, his back straight, his eyes glowing faintly. He felt stronger, but not in the way soldiers dream of. It was something deeper, ancient. He saw everything as patterns, life, sound, even emotion. He could feel people's fear behind walls. He could feel Salrix's confusion, and strangely, his guilt, and that's when he understood. You didn't laugh at me because I was weak, Jalen said out loud, though no one was in the room. You laughed because you were afraid I'd prove you wrong. The ship AI suddenly activated, itself. Subject recognized, Origin-class lifeform. Requesting permission to synchronize. Jalen looked up. What does that mean? The AI replied in a neutral voice. You are now compatible with all station systems. Your thoughts may override. Commands. Synchronization complete in 3, 2. Suddenly every screen in the ship changed, not just in the medwing. Every single terminal across the station flashed blue. A new symbol appeared, half alien, half human. Beneath it, awakening confirmed. In the council chamber aboard the EU flagship orbiting nearby, alien generals watched in horror. The human just took control of the entire station. No, said an old alien priest slowly. He didn't take control. The station accepted him. Back in the chamber, Jalen took a shaky breath. I don't want power. I didn't ask for this. Salrix entered the room carefully. You may not have asked, he said gently, but you were chosen long before you were born. You are the last key to something ancient. What am I supposed to do? Jalen asked. The doctor looked into his glowing eyes. That depends, he said. Do you believe you're still just human? Cliffhanger, End of Part 5. A loud hum echoed through the station. The ship's engines flickered, without command. The AI announced, "New coordinates entered. Unknown destination. Origin-class subject has triggered automatic exploration protocol." Jalen's hands trembled. "Where are we going?" The answer came not from the ship, but from deep inside his own thoughts. Home. Far beyond the stars, in a deep, cold sector of the galaxy called the Black Line, a forgotten listening post blinked to life for the first time in 600 years. It had only one job: detect Project Origin. Now, it screamed in silence, beaming a signal across space. In less than 1 galactic hour, everyone knew. On political moons, in war fleets, inside temples and pirate dens, one message lit every secure channel. Origin has awakened. Earthborn. Host confirmed, and just like that, the galaxy stopped laughing at humans. Inside a war council chamber on the planet Shurvek Prime, a general slammed his clawed hand against the table. "A human? This is dangerous. Shut it down now." Another alien general hissed. "Shutting it down is no longer possible. If the origin gene is active, it means the system accepted him." An old admiral with glowing skin leaned forward. "Then we must ask the question no one wants to ask." They all turned. What if this human isn't a mistake? What if he's what the ancients intended all along? Back on Station Varela, chaos had already begun. Half the crew wanted to leave. The other half stared at Jalen with wide, fearful eyes. Doors opened when he walked past, even sealed ones. Machines powered down when he frowned. The lights dimmed if he lost focus, and worst of all, he didn't mean to do any of it. In his chamber, Jalen stood still, breathing slowly, listening. He could now hear things no one else could. Signals from far stars, dead languages in the metal of the walls, and ancient warnings buried deep inside ship systems. He was becoming something more than human, and that terrified him. Dr. Sailrix watched from the window. He spoke quietly to the ship's AI. "Give me full medical scan of subject Jalen Reed." The AI paused, then responded, "Subject cannot be scanned. Biological data is unstable. Evolution level exceeds system limits." Sailrix whispered to himself, "He's breaking the rules of life itself." The council soon contacted the station. Their holograms flickered into the room. Jalen stood in front of them, alone. The alien council leader, a cold-eyed being made of crystal, said, "Earthborn, do you understand what you are?" Jalen replied calmly, "No, but I know you do. You just hoped it would never happen." The council remained silent. Another voice said, "You carry something that should not survive. A gene made for war. We buried it in your kind as a desperate solution." "You mean a weapon?" Jalen said. "No," the leader said firmly. "You are a backup, in case all else failed." The tension grew. Jalen's voice hardened. "So now that your ancient plan worked, what do you want from me? Control? Obedience?" The crystal being replied, "No, we want you gone. You are a living system override. Wherever you go, nothing will be stable. You will rewrite the rules." Suddenly, sirens blared across the station. The AI voice shouted, "Incoming fleet, 36 ships, class, high firepower, approach vector, hostile." Jalen turned slowly toward the window. Distant stars were now blocked by dark shapes, warships. He looked at Sailrix. "You told them I was alive, didn't you?" Sailrix's face was pale. "I didn't have a choice, they already knew. The galaxy can't ignore what you are." On the bridge, security officers scrambled to prepare defenses, but weapons wouldn't matter. Jalen could already feel it. He was the target, not the station. Him. They didn't come to talk. They came to erase him. But something unexpected happened. As Jalen stepped forward, the ship reacted. Panels lit up with new colors, doors sealed automatically. Energy shields formed around him. A voice whispered from the system. "Origin recognized. Defense mode activated. Host protected." Outside, the warships locked their weapons. Inside, Jalen's eyes began to glow again. Not just blue this time. Silver, ancient, alive. He took a deep breath, and for the first time, he spoke not with his voice but with his mind, and every ship in orbit heard him. You think I'm the threat? You created me. Now you must live with what you buried. Cliffhanger, end of part 6. In the outer edges of space, a massive forgotten relic suddenly activated, a living ship the size of a moon. Whispered, origin detected. Primary vessel preparing for arrival. Jalen fell to one knee, shaking. Dr. Sailrix rushed to him. What's wrong? He asked. Jalen looked up, trembling. Sumped, the galaxy held its breath. Above Station Varela, warships floated like silent predators, waiting for the order to strike. Inside the station, power pulsed through the metal walls, alive, aware. At the heart of it all stood Captain Jalen Reed, his body glowing with an ancient silver light, eyes locked on the sky above, and below the surface of a distant moon, something older than time was rising. Dr. Selrick stood close, eyes wide. You feel it, don't you? He asked. Jalen nodded slowly. It's not just in me anymore. It's everywhere. The gene you buried didn't make me stronger. It woke something. A memory. A voice from before time. The doctor swallowed hard. The voice of what? Jalen looked at him, calm, firm. The first architects. Suddenly, every system on the station shut down. Then, one by one, the lights returned, not in human blue, nor alien green, but white. Pure. A new symbol appeared on every screen. A human, hand holding a glowing star wrapped in alien code. The ship's AI spoke in a new voice. System rewrite complete. Origin class code installed. Awaiting host directive. Outside, the massive relic arrived, a ship the size of a planet. Not built, grown. The war fleet backed away in fear. Its surface was covered in moving patterns, shifting like water and metal. At the same time, it didn't use engines. It moved like it was alive. Selrick stared in awe. That is not a ship. That is a being. Jalen's voice echoed without speaking. It's the Mother Core, the last creation of the first architects. And it came for me. The council tried to interfere. A final message came through. Human, your awakening threatens every balance in this galaxy. We demand surrender. Jalen stepped forward, surrounded by white light. His voice, calm, unshaking. I didn't ask for this. You forced this path on my kind long ago, but now I see the truth. You weren't afraid of our weakness. You feared what we'd become when we finally remembered. The Mother Core sent its first signal. It wasn't a message. It was a choice. Images flooded Jalen's mind. A galaxy free from war. Unity between species. Systems rewritten to erase hunger, fear, and power games. But to do it, he'd have to rewrite the core laws of every major civilization. He would become the central mind, not a ruler, but a living balance, a guide, a code. Jalen turned to Sailrix. If I accept, I won't be human anymore. Not fully. The doctor nodded. But maybe. You'll become something better. Something both human and alien could follow. Jalen looked at his hands, strong, shaking, glowing. Then he looked past them. To Earth, to the stars, to the millions of beings watching him. He closed his eyes and said one word. Yes. The Mother Core responded instantly. Light exploded from the relic, shooting through hyperspace, lighting up stars, waking ancient tech, silencing weapons, and spreading a new code. The origin code. All over the galaxy, weapons turned off. Borders vanished from star maps. Enemies felt peace inside their bones. Inside Station Varela, Jalen's body floated gently in the air. His skin shimmered like starlight. His voice echoed through every system. I am not a weapon. I am not your fear. I am the reminder of what you tried to erase. I am the bridge, the new code. the last gift from those who created us all. A week later, peace treaties were signed without war. Medical tech changed overnight. Diseases were cured. Ships no longer ran on power, but on shared resonance from the origin core. And humans? They were no longer mocked. They were now known as the children of the code. Dr. Cielric stood quietly at the edge of the observation deck. Above him floated the core, and beside him, a small projection of Jalen appeared, no longer made of flesh, but of light and memory. Cielric smiled sadly. You gave up everything. Jalen's voice echoed gently. No, I gave them a chance. That's what it means to be human. Final line, end of part 7. Across the stars, a new message blinked on every screen in every language. Do not fear what you don't understand. One day, it might save you. And so, the laughter ended, and respect began.